Hi, my name is Ashley Rapanis, and I was a student in EDU 709 in the summer of 2015. And for our final project, we were asked to create lesson plans that used innovative technology. So for my project, I did innovative uses of iPads in an English classroom. So I teach high school English, and my rationale for these lessons plans is that as we approach the end of 2015 and the beginning of 2016, it's clear that our world is growing and its use of technology is growing, and it's our job as teachers to better prepare our students for the world that they will soon be entering. And for our students to be able to succeed, they need to be educated on the innovative uses of technology. So to help aid my students and prepare them for the future, I have created a few lessons that will involve the use of iPads with my English content. And this will allow me to teach technology use and the technology skills along with my English content. And I also picked the iPad because I think that a lot of the students enjoy using the iPad and are engaged by being able to explore and work on innovative technology tools such as the iPad. So through these lessons, I'm hoping that students will learn to communicate effectively, review English content, and become flexible and familiar when it comes to using certain technologies in the classroom. So if we want to take a quick look at what the iPads look like. Here's a few images of what the iPads will look like that students will be using in my classroom. So the first lesson number 1, is iPads used to complete a Socratic circle. So students will have recently finished reading the book The Great Gatsby. Before going on to final projects and tests with the book, it's important to have students completely understand the book and the main themes represented in the book. So with the Socratic Circle, students will discuss issues such as how does Fitzgerald foreshadow the tragedies at the end, what is the symbolism of the green light, does the novel critique or uphold the values of the Jazz Age, does J. Gatsby represent the American dream, compare and contrast the West Egg and the East Egg. So these are some questions, main questions that students will need to know answers to from their book before final tests and projects. So how this will work, students in the inner circle will pose discussion questions such as these, and then students on the outer circle will be using their iPads and an app called Today Meets, and they'll be using that app on their iPad to respond to the questions that the people on the inner circle are asking. When they respond to these questions, their responses will show up on the board in front of the room on the projector, and students on the inner circle will be able to address their responses. After about 20 minutes, the inner circle and the outer circle will switch, and one major thing about this lesson is that all students will need to come to class the day that we're going to do the Socratic circles with 3 discussion questions based on the novel. So the technology needed for this would be the iPad for each student. You'd need to have an internet connection. All the iPads would need to have the application titled Today Meets, and you need a large projector up in front of the room that would show the student responses. The procedure for the lesson would begin the day before. Teachers will educate students on how to use the iPad and the Today Meet app. They will also have time to explore with the iPad. Then students will come to class prepared with 3 questions based on The Great Gatsby. The next day, when they're going to complete the Socratic Circle, the teacher will fully explain the lesson, and students will have a chance to ask questions about the lesson, the goal of the lesson. Students will come up with their questions, and they'll be split into 2 groups, the inner circle and the outer circle. Students on the inner circle will begin by asking their questions and discussing possible answers to it. Students on the outer circle will use their iPad and the app called Today Meet to respond or ask for clarification on the inner circle questions. The inner circle will address the outer circle questions, concerns, answers, and then after about 20 minutes, the inner and the outer circle will switch, and they will then complete the process again. Once both groups have completed being in the circle, they will come together as a class and ask any other questions that they may have. So we want to take a quick look at what the Today's Meet app looks like. And this is a look at what the app looks like. So if you think that you might want to use this in your classroom, you can go to todaysmeet.com and explore the website and how to use the app. The second lesson that I created was a retelling of The Great Gatsby through a comic creation app on the iPad. In this comic creation lesson plan, students of an English class will use their iPad to create a comic strip retelling the story of The Great Gatsby. Students will have recently just finished reading The Great Gatsby, and to help them review and use technology, they will be doing the following strip design project. Students will use the app Strip Designer found on the iPad to create their comic strip of the story. The purpose of this lesson plan is to get students to interact with their iPads while reviewing the novel at the same time. They will be required to do at least 10 squares of comic strip image, and this will be a form of review for the students before they take the final test. So the technology used for this would be that each student would need an iPad. Each iPad would need to have the application called Strip Design loaded on it. And then you'd also need an internet connection, obviously, to be able to get the app and things. So, the procedure of the project. First, students need to complete the reading of the book The Great Gatsby. Then, the teacher will explain how they will be creating a comic strip using the app Strip Design. The teacher can give students tips on how to use Strip Design, and the strip must be at least 10 to 12 squares, so either 10 or 12 depending on how the teacher feels the class can do. And they must retell the main points of the novel. Before they begin creating their strip design, they must pre-plan their strip. So the day before we use the iPads, they'll be able to write it out on a sheet of paper. They will do their rough draft planning for about 20 minutes, and that can be the day before or the day of, before they start the final strip design. The final strip must be completed using Strip Design on the iPad, and once everyone has completed their own strip design, they will review their peer strip designs to help them review the novel for their final test. And so we'll take a quick look on the internet at the Strip Design app. And here is a video we'll watch a few minutes of, or just 30 seconds or so, that can help teach you how to use strip design.
There we have it, Strip Design. And here's the app. And this looks like somebody's already been playing in this iPad, so I'm just going to click on the My Comics button in the top left-hand corner. And I can see all my comics here. There's one. I'm going to start a new one, Create New. Touch on that, and I can choose, to either create my own or just use one of these kinds of categories. I'm just going to choose a plain one. And then it gives me these templates to start off with. And I can modify these later, but just to keep it simple, I'm going to choose a template with a few slides. And so here's my first page. And here it is. Let's first start off by adding some photos. You see in all of those slides, it has add photos, so I touch on it. And I choose from my photo album. I could have also just taken fresh photos. And I'm going to pick my phone.
So those were just a beginning video that you would be able to use to explore the app strip design. And I hope that after watching this presentation, you see how you could use an iPad in an English classroom to help increase students' technology skills, along with helping teach them and review English content that they are going to be studying. So I hope that you learned something from my presentation, and thank you for listening.